So I'd like to call this meeting of the Nelson County Board of Supervisors on May 13th, 2025. Let's stand for a moment of silence. Mr. Park, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have public comments. Some people have signed up. The list was out in the lobby before the meeting started. I'll read those names in the order that they were received. When you have your name called, please approach the podium, speak into the microphone, and address the board. Give your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to give your comments. If you represent a group, please identify the group, and then you will be awarded 5 minutes. Dr. Ligon is our official timekeeper. She'll let you know when there's 30 seconds left and when your time's up. More time can be allowed at the discretion of the chair, and as you approach the end of your time, I'll ask you to wrap it up. And please be civil and courteous and concise in your comments. That helps us all. So first we have Alan Hale.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the Board of Supervisors and county staff. My name is Alan Hale, 3130 Laurel Road, Shipman, Virginia. I haven't been here since December 2017, but here I am. So I'm mostly here today to make sure that you pass this proclamation for older Americans that's on your agenda. But I did want to reminisce a bit about the Board of Supervisors. We used to have public comments from two gentlemen, one from Arrington, and I have to write names down or I forget them, but anyway, and another was Bud Phillips from Schuyler. And I don't know whether you all still have this problem with being called to task for what you're doing, so anyway, so what I was going to bring up today is in the old days, supervisors were in charge of county roads. I now realize that this is in the hands of VDOT, but that's always one of the most popular topics. So to that point, I'm going to mention that on Route 617, Rockfish River Road, there is a culvert that has been washed out. Not only has it been washed out for a long time, but one of the Faber Volunteer Fire Department trucks fell into it before during a flood and didn't know that it was there. So that culvert, I spoke to a worker with VDOT and he said, oh, that'll be years before they get around to that. So since it covers two districts, both the central and the east, I thought I'd bring that up. And the other one is with the South District, Diggs Mountain Road, and its intersection with Arrington Road. And I've traveled that a lot, and there's a very big pothole that seems to be filled up with gravel and is gone very quickly. So those are my two supervisor road complaints. I couldn't find anything in the west. I haven't been over there, but I'll try to do that before the next meeting. And I just want to say that I think you all are doing a great job. It is a service to the county. I think we have a great county staff. And my final comment is, in my last year, I also voted for a raise for the supervisors, which I never benefited from. So there you go. Good afternoon.
Our thanks to you, Mr. Hale. Next on the list is Ann Vogelman.
Hi, my name is Ann Vogelman. I live at 136 Fish Pond Road in Howardsville, and I'm here just to introduce myself to the board and the staff. I have responded to the announcement where the board was looking for volunteers, specifically for the representative to the PVCC Board of Trustees. So hopefully you all have the information that I submitted, and I just thought I'd come today so you could put a face to a name and everything. And if you had any questions, if you had a chance to look through the stuff I provided, I'd be happy to respond to any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
No questions? Okay, thank you.
thank you, Ms. Vogelin. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to be recognized during public comments? Okay, I'll close the public comments then, and we will move on to the consent agenda. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention something about our agenda. Between items 9 and 10, after we've had reports, we're going to take a brief recess, and then we will reconvene and come back into closed session. So I just wanted to make note of that for everybody so that you would know what to expect. And then after we come back from closed session, there's an opportunity for other business that's also on the agenda. Okay. So, so we're on the consent agenda, which includes the November minutes for approval and budget amendments. Anything we need to pull out on that, or would we like to?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Dr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, next we have a proclamation. May is Older Americans Month. A representative from Jefferson Area Board for Aging was hoping to be here. The weather has precluded her attendance. In her absence, I would like to offer the proclamation. Mr. Parr, if you could please read it for us. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ms. Dr. Liggett.
All right, this is
My fault.
Proclamation P 2025-03, Nelson County Board of Supervisors. May 2025 is Older Americans Month. Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and honor the many older adults in Nelson County and their immeasurable influence on every facet of the American society. And whereas Nelson County recognizes how, through their wealth of life experience and wisdom, older adults guide our younger generations and carry forward abundant cultural and historical knowledge. And whereas Nelson County recognizes that older Americans improve our community through intergenerational relationships, community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. And whereas Nelson County benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently. Whereas Nelson County recognizes that its largest age demographic is age 55 and older, which represents over 45% of its population. Whereas Nelson County must ensure that older Americans have the resources and support needed to stay involved in our communities, reflecting our commitment to inclusivity and connectedness. And now, therefore, be it resolved on this 13th day of May 2025, the Nelson County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim May 2025 to be Older Americans Month. We urge every resident to flip the script on aging, this year's theme, and transform how we talk about and perceive aging. Celebrating older adults, profound impact on our local community, empowered by social connections, health resources, and support for older adults.
Thank you, Dr. Liggett. Okay, we have also a resolution for Nelson County Garden Club Day. And Mr. Parr, this is your
Yes, sir.
opportunity.
Resolution R 2025-32, Nelson County Board of Supervisors, resolution recognizing the 90th anniversary of the Nelson County Garden Club. Whereas the Nelson County Garden Club, established in 1935, celebrates its 90th anniversary on May 15th, 2025. And whereas the Nelson County Garden Club has, over the last 90 years, been a vital part of the very human fiber and fabric of our county, enriching the daily lives of Nelsonians, past and present, by its good works. And whereas the members of the Nelson County Garden Club have unselfishly contributed to the unique history and traditions of our county. And whereas the citizens of Nelson County have benefited greatly from the organizational spirit, volunteerism, and community activities of the Nelson County Garden Club. And whereas the members of the Nelson County Board of Supervisors wish to commend and congratulate the Nelson County Garden Club for its civic-mindedness, which is indeed appreciated by all our citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Nelson County Board of Supervisors does hereby officially recognize May 15th, 2025 as Nelson County Garden Club Day, and respectfully asks all citizens alike to join in expressing their sincere gratitude and appreciation for the many long hours of outstanding volunteerism and commitment to our community by the members of the Nelson County Garden Club for the past 90 years.
Thank you, Mr. Parr, and thank you to the Garden Club for the county. Next, we have a proclamation which Mr. Rutherford will read. We have excellent representation this afternoon in recognition of National Police Week.
Yep. Great. Thank you all for being here, and I see you let some guys down from the mountain too. It's good to see you again, Dennis. It's my honor to make this proclamation P 2025-04. Nelson County Board of Supervisors, May 11th through 17th, 2025 is National Police Week. Whereas Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. And whereas National Police Week in America was created to honor the service and recognize the sacrifice and contributions made by police officers in communities both large and small. And whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, Wintergreen Police, and Virginia State Police, who play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our residents. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency. And whereas the men and women of the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, Wintergreen Police Department, Virginia State Police, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibility have rendered a dedicated service to our community, and in doing so have established for themselves an inviolable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and securities of all citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Nelson County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim May 11th, 2025 through May 17th, 2025 as National Police Week in honor of law enforcement officers, both past and present, who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice through their loyal service to their community.
Thank you, Mr. Rutherford. Thank you all for your service to the county, for everything you do.
You want to vote on them?
On all three?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Then-
moved.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Liggins,
Yes.
Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford.
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Thank you, board. Thank you all. Next, we have presentations. The first is the audit report for fiscal year 2024. David Foley with Robinson Farmer Cox and Associates.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you all for having me here this afternoon. Again, my name is David Foley. I'm a partner with Robinson Farmer Cox Associates, and we perform the audit for the county's financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, and here to present the results of that to you all. As part of the audit, we issue two different documents. One is the audited financial report, and then the second is our communication letter with those charged with governance. I'll start first with the audited financial report. And before I get into the results of the audit, just a brief overview of the audit that we do for the county. As part of doing the audit of the financial statements for the county, there's really three main pieces to the audit. One is, of course, we audit the financial statements to make sure that the county's financial statements have been prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The other two pieces of the audit we do in accordance with government auditing standards, one of which is, in addition to just looking at the numbers themselves, we gain an understanding and review the internal controls that the county has over its financial reporting. We do this for the purposes of designing our audit test. And then we may, during the course of the audit, perform tests of those controls to see if they're operating as they were designed. And then the third piece of the audit is the federal compliance piece. So anytime a locality or organization expends over $750,000 in federal grant funds during the year, you're required to undergo what's called a single audit as part of your financial statement audit. So it's when we're out doing the audit for the major federal grant programs of the county and the schools, OMB provides a compliance supplement with various compliance requirements that the counties and schools have to comply with when they're expending the federal grant programs. So as part of the audit, we'll go through that checklist and make sure that the county and schools are compliant with those requirements. So those are the three main pieces of the audit that we do. So as such, included in the audited financial report, there are three different reports from us that communicate the results of the audit. The first is towards the front of the report on numbered page 7, and this is our independent auditor's report. And in this report, as we state, we did perform an audit on the county's financial statements. And then in the second paragraph of this report is where we issue our opinion on the financial statements. And we had issued a unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements. An unmodified opinion is the cleanest opinion an auditor can give on the set of financial statements. Basically, an unmodified opinion means that the county's financial statements have been prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The other two reports from us are in the back of the report. The first report in the back in the compliance section is all the way back on numbered page 173. This report is our report over the county's internal control over financial reporting. As part of our audit, we noted no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the county's internal controls over its financial reporting. Overall, we feel the county has strong internal controls in place over its financial reporting. And then the third and final report from us is 2 pages over. This is our report on the county's compliance with the major federal grant programs. This report was clean as well. There were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses noted in the county and schools' compliance with its major federal grant programs. There was also no instances of non-compliance noted as part of the audit. So overall, it was a very clean audit for the county. Again, all 3 reports from us were clean. I'd like to switch over to our communication letter with those charged with governance. So what this letter is auditing standards require that we communicate certain things to you all at the end of an audit. So we do so in the form of this governance letter. Just briefly would like to go through these with you all. First, some qualitative aspects of accounting practices, and here we communicate management is responsible for the selection and appropriate use of accounting policies. Accounting estimates are an integral part of the financial statements. For example, some of the more significant estimates that are used in preparing the financial statements is management's estimate of depreciable lives related to capital assets, which is used to determine depreciation expense, and then also management's estimate of pension and other post-employment benefit liabilities, which are based on actuarial evaluations done by an independent actuary. difficulties encountered in performing the audit. We had no difficulties in dealing with management and performing and completing the audit. If we had any, we would have to disclose the nature of those to you all. Really, all the county and school staff do an excellent job of working with us during the audit. They do a great job of having information ready for us when we come on site, as well as while we're on site, answering all the questions that we have and pulling any additional information that we need. Just a few more items, corrected and uncorrected misstatements. There were no uncorrected misstatements noted as part of our audit, meaning that the county's financials were already adjusted as they needed to be for the audited financial statements. Disagreements with management, we had no disagreements with management in terms of any financial reporting or auditing matters. Again, we would have to disclose the nature of those all to you all. Management representations, we do request certain representations from management at the end of the audit, which we get in the form of a signed rep letter. And then lastly, management's consultations with other independent accountants. As far as we're aware, management did not consult with any other independent accountants in terms of second opinion shopping. But again, those are just the required communications that we have to make to you all at the end of the audit. But that's all I have, but be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So I guess typically we get this done earlier in the year. When do we normally get it done? Or was it the draft that was late this year?
So the audit is usually we come in November for field work. We were not able to get out in November as the county was still getting ready for the audit. So we came out in, I believe it was December. And then after field work, then I think we sent a draft at either maybe the end of January or sometime in February. And then the audit was finalized in March.
Gotcha. Okay.
But hopefully we'll be able to start the audit sooner this year and have it completed sooner than this past year.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, go.
My grandfather always joked that an audit is only as good as the numbers that you're given. Is there any way for us to ensure things are going well? I mean, obviously, superficially, things are going well. But were there any things that gave you question how we do things, computer programs we should have, that you like to see? Are we moving forward and staying efficient like other counties? It's a lot of questions.
No, nothing really stood out during the audit. You know, I think the county uses the Bright system for its accounting software. It's very common software used throughout the Commonwealth. And I mean, I think, you know, as far as all the processes, they seem to be, you know, very efficient. You know, there's no issues with reconciling bank accounts or anything like that. Those are always reconciled timely. So, yeah, really nothing noted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Foley, thank you so much. And thank you, Candy and Grace and Amanda and your staff for another clean audit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Next we have the VDOT report. Mr. Brown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are y'all?
Good.
I have a few things to report on this month. Just to follow up on a few items from last month that were brought to our attention. We've got right many concerns about the unpaved roads, the condition of the unpaved roads, and I'm happy to report we have done a lot of work on those unpaved roads. If you remember, I shared this number with you during our doing our work session on the 6-year plan. We have around 120 miles of unpaved roads left in Nelson County. And over the last month, we have machined a little over half of those 120 miles. So we've been over about 64 miles of unpaved road, and we were fortunate to get some additional funding that we weren't counting on. And we have placed over 10,000 tons of stone on those roads that we have worked throughout the county, and many of them have been in the back toward the Shipman area where it was damaged the most heavily during last year's flooding. So I've been doing a lot of work. I hope your constituents see that. I shared with Jesse, Mr. Rutherford, we're working on Mill Ridge Road ditching and doing some pavement repairs going up to the brewery. Hopefully that'll be completed in the next week. We did complete our pipe jacking under Route 151, where that pipe failed. That has been completed, and we're still making progress on the slope repair on 151 out toward Avon. So hopefully phase 1 of that will wrap up, and we can bring our geotechnical contractor in to do the formal soil nailing and stabilize that slope. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of other stuff to report. There should be a litter pickup ongoing in Nelson County on the primary routes and some secondary routes. That contractor, he's finished Amherst, so he should be in Nelson, but I don't have a count on the trash, just the litter that's been picked. So with that being said, I'll be glad to take any concerns and answer any questions that you all have.
All right, 617. You heard the man.
Yeah. That has been a long process. We had to have a structure designed, and then we had to procure it, and it should be arriving in the next few weeks. I'm not sure the exact delivery date, but it's going to be a prefabricated aluminum structure. I've forgotten the size of it, Alan. I don't know what size it is, but that pipe was way undersized, and it's going to be a structure there. So that, as soon as we get it, we're going to put it in. So we've been waiting on it. So that's where that's at.
And the bridge construction on 617 going over, I think it's Tafara or Drumhill, one or the other. You're redoing one of the bridges over that way?
The bridge off 617,
Yeah.
724.
724. That's what I wrote.
Yeah,
Is that going to be finished up here soon, or is it close to completion?
I don't know.
I have to go.
I don't have that. I don't know when we're going to start. I don't think. I'll have to check on that, Mr. Robert. I don't know the exact details of that, but before we started, we were certainly put out message boards to give everybody alerts that when the road's going to be finished.
Sounds good.
I'll find out. I don't have that information right readily.
I was wondering the progress on Lonesome Pines Road. I've still been getting complaints about potholes and things on that road. I know we had added it to the paving thing, but it may have been a misunderstanding that there was some things that they
That
wanted
was
seen
when we added
first.
to the list.
Right, but maybe if that's 2 years off, some gravel would be appreciated. And then my bad memory, I cannot remember where we stood on the culvert in Gladstone. I remember you saying something to me about it, but I can't remember what it was.
We have been working on that. We have made 2 attempts with a pipe cleaner to get through it. We did get away with some water will go through it, but we've got to open cut that road. It's clogged up. It's got some cinder block and all in it, and we should be getting the Miss Utility mark the utilities. And there's our plan to go in there. It should happen pretty soon. to go ahead and open cut the road, and, that's the only way we're gonna get to it, and we'll either get that pipe cleaned out and fix that joint, or either we will be prepared to replace the entire pipe. But one of those three things is gonna happen.
All right, thank you. Well, and then I guess Diggs Mountain and, I guess it's Variety Mills in Diggs Mountain. You heard what Mr. Hale was saying. That's also South
Yeah, I heard
District,
the
so,
Diggs
yeah.
Mountain pothole.
Yeah,
Diggs Mountain and Arrington Road.
Harrington Road.
668.
Thank you.
David?
He's good.
Only thing I have is I got a text from one of my constituents saying that in Beech Grove on Moses Hughes Lane, there was water coming across the road earlier today in the heavy rain. Don't know if that's still happening, but I got the message just before the meeting and thought nothing better than to let you know.
What was that side street, Mr. Reed?
Moses Hughes Lane,
Moses?
Moses Hughes. It's a dead-end road coming off Beech Grove Road.
I'll check on
Appreciate that.
it. Okay.
I will say, on a positive, with all this rain we've had, for the first time in a while, no water coming across Lowesville Road, just up from Dollar General. So
Good.
the fixes seem to be, knock on wood,
Good.
seem to be doing the
Thank you.
job.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
That's good. That's. Well,
As long as Mother Nature takes care of us, we're in
Yeah.
good shape.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. We do have the secondary 6-year road plan and rural rustic coming up, so we have those resolutions.
You ready for those now?
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve Resolution R 2025-33, Nelson County Board of Supervisors approval of the FY26, FY31 secondary 6-year road plan and FY25-26 construction priority list as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Rutherford,
Yes.
Dr. Liggett,
Yes.
Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Okay. And we have Resolution R 2025-34, approval of the rural rustic design standards for unpaved roads in FY 26-30 to 31, Nelson County Secondary Road 6-year plan improvement plan.
Move we approve the resolution as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion is seconded. Any discussion? Okay.
Mr. Rutherford,
Yes.
Dr. Liggett,
Yes.
Mr. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Okay. That's all our VDOT matters for the day. So next we have our social services building final design and authorization to bid from PMA. Jeff Stodgel and Ashtar Patel are here to give a presentation on that.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Jeff Stodgel, and this is Akshar Patel, he's an architect. And we're very pleased to be here today. We want to first thank you for the opportunity to have worked with the county on developing a design for this very important addition to the county, the new social services building. Akshar is going to walk you through the design in a few seconds. I'd just like to give some perspective. This project started around 3 years ago, and since that time, we've accomplished a very deep analysis, and I think you're being presented with today a well-considered solution at the right place and for a lower cost than was originally envisioned. So I hope you'll see, as you see a new vision for a facility, that this has gotten a lot of thought time, it's gotten a lot of development. It started with a space needs analysis with the Department of Social Services. We inventoried everything. There's a place for everybody in this building. It's designed around their functions. We initially started with a site on Calla Hill Road, which we worked with. Along the way, you looked at, I think, the old electric co-op building. That wasn't really a good solution. And at first, when we looked at the 3710 Bark site, we really didn't know if that would be a good solution, but it turned out that it was a really good solution. It had a nice compact site. It had less site work that was going to be necessary, and it was actually a money-saving option. So we were very glad that you were able to find that opportunity, and that when we really looked at it from a construction planning standpoint, that it was in the right place. It had the right visibility, and it was just the right size for the building. So we feel like you've gone through a very considered process, and you've come up with a good compact design, and we feel good about it. Today we'll be presenting this, and we'll be asking for you to approve moving ahead to bidding this project later in the month. So, actually, can you present?
So here we are looking at the front elevation of the Nelson County Social Services Department. This will be the view of the building as you are driving by Route 29. And this will be up on the corner of Main Street and Highway 29. We wanted to design a building that had some presence, of the higher speed Highway 29, but felt, of the place in Nelson County, felt very contextual. We also created the main canopy to help welcome clients into the social services, make them feel at home and at ease to get the services that they need from the county employees. And then this is the view from the back of the building as you approach and drive into the site off of Tambar Plaza. We wanted to make sure that, since this was a building that had 4 visible elevations, that, each elevation was well thought out, well designed, and had a presence.
Will we be able to get a copy of this presentation to the media?
Yes.
We'll be able to send that to, so you have better than cell phone pictures. Sorry.
So this is the final site plan that we had arrived to with our civil engineers. We added in the addition of the pedestrian sidewalk off of Main Street to mirror what's happening on the other side of Main Street by the Dollar General. We have 2 ways in and out of the site to reduce any congestion, ample parking spaces, and landscaping to kind of buffer the parking area and make sure the building is sitting nicely into the landscape. This is the final arrangement of the plan that we were able to come up with the design committee of the Nelson County Social Services Board and the County Administrator's Office. In the center, we have our lobby and more public spaces, and then kind of flanking that, we have our family services workers and benefits workers, and then towards the back, central to the plan, we've got our advisors and directors. And then to the plan, kind of bottom right, we have the conference and training room. And this is the layout of furniture that we coordinated with the Department of Social Services, ensuring everything fits, all of their needs are met. I'm going to, our 2 main elevations, front and back, starting to call out some of the materiality, which we've got some samples of here. So we are using seamed metal roof we have along the back. And a little bit on the front, we've got a white brick and a red brick. So this is our painted white brick that we had worked with the committee to select, which will be a good amount of the elevation on the back of the building as people are entering the site. And then with our column piers in the base of the building to sit nicely into the landscape, we have worked with the committee to approve this red brick. And then some of the other materiality of the building, we have hardy board and batten, which has a nice longevity to it and wear to it, and then as well as bronze metal panels work into the window systems. This is a view of our lobby and reception desk. I'm gonna pull up this. Working with the design committee of this project, we wanted to create a lobby space that was very welcoming and inviting and kind of putting clients at ease. So we worked with the interior designers to create a space that, again, just felt very welcoming. Another view of our lobby space, including kind of the children's play seating area in that nook to the left. Right off of the main entrance door will be where the sign-in iPads are for clients to sign in. And then you can see all the way to the right where that glass door is. That's one of the interview rooms that staff will be meeting with clients initially. And then walking through our materials boards. So kind of here we've got samples for our lobby area here. And then this starts to go into our foster care supervision, which will be the next slide I'll show. This is the carpet and finishes for the standard for the LB offices in the building, and then going into break room, training room finishes here. And this is our foster care supervision room, where staff members of the social services will be doing supervised visits with individuals in foster care and their family members.
Question to the specs. So are we doing LVP and those are just carpet renditions essentially? Or is your vinyl plank, or is there actually carpet on the ground?
There's actually carpet
Okay.
with the LVT around.
So it's carpet in the middle and LVP around?
Correct.
Is there any reason why we just wouldn't do LVP throughout and then throw
So
carpets to make it work?
So working with the design committee, we wanted to create a space specifically for this room. Kids will be playing
Yeah.
it on the floor. We wanted to create a softer surface for them to be doing activities kids do, playing with toys, coloring, whatever, while they're meeting with family.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not criticizing necessarily using whether it's a regular carpet. From someone who runs long-term rentals, carpet is, especially when children are around, carpet can be one of the first major casualties of any room.
Yes.
So, the only reason why I say is because you're going to essentially, is that going to be recessed up to the LVP? Essentially?
Correct. Yes, it'll be flush.
Okay. I mean, is there any reason why we couldn't just do LVP and then buy that and put a nice border on it and use it as a rug instead? That way there's replicability.
You could do that, certainly. These are carpet tile, so they're going to be replaceable.
Okay.
You have a certain amount of extra tiles that you can, put in if they get stained or, if they wear out.
I got you. I mean, it's different for me.
We've also worked to select carpets that are commercial grade solution dyed. They can be scrubbed, shampooed, vacuumed, cleaned thoroughly, and not kind of lose their color or lose their look over time.
And odds are there will not be a bachelorette party in that room. So.
Yeah, that's a short, definitely no carpet in those.
So going through some of the individual offices and spaces in the building and the furniture systems that we worked with the design committee to select for their needs and their functions. This was what we have in the 2 interview rooms in the center of the building, where employees of the social services will be meeting with clients and reviewing paperwork, etc. This is what we had worked with the committee to come up with for the training room and conference room and break room. This is the administrative offices and the furniture systems that we selected for those spaces. And then this is our typical office arrangement for the benefits and family services workers. So looking ahead with our schedule, we are of course looking for an authorization to proceed with bidding today on May 13th. We are planning, with your approval, to go to bid and advertise for bid May 16th. We will have a pre-bid conference May 28th of this year, and we will have the receival of the bids June 26th, and then opening of the bids June 27th. We are doing a 6-week bidding period for contractors to open the project, and we are thinking an 18-month timeline for construction.
So this last slide is the same slide you saw last month, and you know, at this point we're within the budget that you had adopted, and we're ready to go forward with the.
Where are we on, I don't remember hearing back about the stormwater situation.
So the last time we reported, we still hadn't gotten comments from DEQ, and we were still waiting on comments from VDOT. That we got the comments, we've responded, we're down now to administrative issues. We expect that there won't be any substantive comments coming back, and you know, with the amount of time we've got, you know, to advertise and go to bid, we would anticipate that all of that will get resolved in the next 6 weeks. The building plans have been reviewed, and they're ready for the contractor to apply for a building permit, and we're really ready to go.
Okay. But you're feeling good that we're not gonna have to do some stormwater mitigation
No,
situation?
we're out of the woods on that.
Okay.
Any more questions? Thank you for a great process and a great presentation, and hopefully we'll be moving on this together. So, thank you.
Well, we want to thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to making, getting this to the point where you can cut a ribbon and move everybody in. So we're going to gather our things now, and if you would consider a resolution on authorizing us to bid, that's what we came for today. Thank you.
Yes, and I will do that. Got it?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution R 2025-35, Nelson County Board of Supervisors, approval of the social services building design and authorization to bid contract.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to commend the PMA architecture firm and staff and the committee. It's hard to express how much thought and time went into this project in picking out everything from the square footage of the office needs to the materials to the colors to looking at the brick outside and making sure it looked good in the sunlight, and just every little thing that has gone into this design has been thoughtful, and moving the location and coming in considerably under budget. It was a great process. It was a time-consuming process, but a lot of thought went into it, and I think everyone will be pleased with the
the outcome of the project, so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Park. Okay, we do have a motion and a second, so let's take a roll call.
Dr. Ligon?
Yeah.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes. Okay. Next, we have our high school renovation and social services building project plan of finance from Davenport and Company.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I have hard copies, but it looks like you have some there already. So, just wanted to give you a brief update on where we stand with the high school financing as well as the DSS financing, which you just heard a lot about the project, and we're going to talk a little bit about how the county is paying for that. So just a big picture overview. I mean, come to you several times over the last few years to talk through the overall plan of finance here. The two main projects that we're going to talk about today are the renovation of the high school, which was being financed through the Virginia Public School Authority's spring pool, which actually closed today. And then this Department of Social Services project that is moving forward at this time and is going to be financed through the Virginia Resources Authority's summer pool, which is just getting started now. Last year, just as a reminder, we did come to you and you approved sort of interim financing in order to get these projects going, the design and the initial construction costs for them in the form of these bond anticipation notes with First National. These bands will be paid off by the VPSA spring pool and the VRA summer pool. And like I mentioned today, the VPSA spring pool actually closed, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that on page 3 here. So this process started back in February. The county submitted an application. We went through the whole due diligence process with the Virginia Public School Authority. They actually priced their bonds. They went out to the public markets and figured out what investors would want to purchase the bonds on April 22nd and locked in an interest rate for you all of 4.43%. We had been assuming an interest rate of 5%, so that came in below that, which is good for those projections that we've been doing. In total, we did shorten it a little bit. We had been assuming a longer loan. We shortened it to about 25 years, and in total, that saved you all about $8.6 million over the life of the loan. Compared to what we were running in our initial analyses that used those planning interest rates of 5%. Like I mentioned, that pool closed today, and so the funding for that project is in the hands of the county at this point. First payment to be made on this loan will come in January of next year, so that's part of the fiscal 26 budget. Any questions on the VPSA issuance, which is basically finished at this point? Okay. So the second part of this, the DSS project, you all just heard about sort of that bidding timeline. We aligned this financing with that bidding timeline as best we could. The Virginia Resources Authority does 3 pools a year. They do a spring, a summer, and a fall. The summer pool, like I mentioned, is ongoing. We submitted an application about 2 weeks ago at this point. For the summer pool, we actually had VRA has these due diligence calls where they sit down and ask questions about finances and the projects and all that. We had that call yesterday and went very well. They didn't have any serious concerns or really any concerns with the project. So it looks good going forward now. There's no action for you all to take today, but we will be coming back on June 10th with the authorizing resolution. That will establish a maximum principal amount that can be issued. So that will be the maximum amount, but we're not going to issue more than is necessary based on when those bids come back in late June. So VRA has given us the flexibility that once you receive those bids and have an idea of what the actual project cost is going to be, we can make adjustments to the amount being borrowed at that point. So in July 22nd is when VRA will actually go out and sell the bonds. So we just need to give them a good idea of what that number you all need is ahead of that in early July. So it works well as long as the bidding schedule stays in line with where it is now. Like I mentioned, we'll be coming back to you June 10th, and really the next closing here that we're going to be looking for after today's with VPSA's beginning of August is when you'll receive the funds for the VRA pool. And that will fully fund the DSS project, pay off the ban. Today we're in the process of paying off the ban that was issued for the school project. So that will go away, and all that's outstanding after today will be the VPSA pool, and then for the DSS project, that ban will stay outstanding until the beginning of August when we receive those funds and that payment is made. Any questions?
I don't think so. So we'll look forward to seeing you next month.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and I should mention there's a little bit more detail behind in the appendix just about that VPSA spring pool, in case you want to see a little bit more about that.
Okay. Okay. On to new and unfinished business. We have the draft comprehensive safety plan update for Move Safely Blue Ridge from TJPDC.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As you remember, my name is Goran Georgievsky. I'm a regional planner at the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, working on the Move Safely Blue Ridge initiative. I was here on April 8 to discuss with you the draft comprehensive safety action plan. And the board had some feedback for us, so we're coming back today to discuss those details. On April 8th, we reviewed the agenda of the plan of the presentation. We talked about the region's plan to reduce road fatalities and serious injuries. We talked about Nelson County's leadership commitment and the goal of reducing the fatalities and serious injuries by 50% by 2045. We talked about the planning process and what that meant as the foundation of the final document. We talked about the emphasis areas and how they serve to inform the project team with the needs and potential solutions for Nelson County. We talked about the high injury network and how it serves as a map that shows the highest concentration of severe crashes within the county. We talked about our public engagement rounds, and then we talked about some key events that we attended to get that public feedback. We talked about the spot improvements, which this is the slide that the board had the most feedback on. Since then, we have met with VDOT and county staff to go over the details and revisit the solutions, which county staff, I believe, had an opportunity to discuss with you. We talked about systemic improvements and how these proven potential solutions could be applied across the entire network in the county. And then the non-engineering solutions, which are the policies and programs that could be implemented through potential partners identified in the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. We learned that through the adoption of this plan, Nelson County will be eligible applicant for implementation funding in future rounds of the Safe Streets and Roads program, as well as Smart Scale, the High Safety Improvement Program, and revenue sharing. That was the presentation that we covered. I'd be happy to take any questions on the solutions that the board might have.
I believe y'all also met with staff. Did y'all meet with Dylan, David, and Jessica? Yeah, and so we addressed some of the concerns that we had in that, and I feel more amicable to this, so. And I know Smart Scale deadlines are not until next year, correct? Okay, so we can have ongoing discussions about those intersections if there's more intensive ideas as we might want to do.
Yeah, I just want to mention that every one of these potential solutions are not just gonna be implemented.
Oh, absolutely.
There's gonna be VDOT further evaluation and analysis on these
Right.
before implementation.
All right.
There's no action for you today, as you know. The plan is gonna go some other updates with the socioeconomic sections of it, so we're hoping to be on the consent agenda for the next meeting on June 10th, should the board agree with everything we have discussed today.
And we won't get comments back from VDOT for how long?
I'm sorry?
You said that the VDOT will look into this?
Well, when implementation comes, for example, if the county decides to go for either one of these potential solutions
Right.
and apply for implementation funding, that's when the
Gotcha.
evaluation and analysis will come.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes.
just add a comment? This is just a menu of countermeasures the county could seek funding for, and typically, if you don't have the measure within certain plans, then you're not eligible to go forward with funding. So you could do some of these, none of them, or all of them, depending on funding. So it just provides you options.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Okay. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have an authorization for a public hearing on floodplain ordinance updates. Ms. Bishop?
Floods are planning today.
Yes, they are. I always say these are the best days to go do erosion control inspections.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
Hmm.
All right, so as you know, FEMA is the federal agency that administers National Flood Insurance Program, or NFIP. They create the maps for regulatory purposes. State agencies such as Department of Conservation and Recreation, they're responsible for guiding and providing technical assistance with floodplain administration to the locality. And then finally, the locality is ultimately responsible for administering its floodplain ordinance in compliance with FEMA. Our current effective flood maps are dated June 10th, 2010. We did receive new flood insurance rate maps or firms. They've been finalized for Nelson County. They're due to be effective on August 5th of this year. This involved years of data compilation, studies, community meetings facilitated by FEMA. In order to remain active in the NFIP, the locality is required to amend and update its floodplain ordinance and submit the adopted ordinance back to the state agency DCR for review at least 30 days prior to the effective date. Our current floodplain ordinance was amended in 2017 and it was sent to DCR for a compliance review. Only minor changes were required, including replacement of definitions for post-firm, pre-firm, which are the effective dates of the maps, and new construction and updating references to that effective date. So staff is requesting that the board authorize a joint public hearing with the Planning Commission to be held on June 25th, 2025. That'll be after your joint work session for the ordinance update. Upon adoption, the ordinance is sent back to DCR and FEMA for final review and acceptance.
Okay, any questions for Dylan?
Okay.
Okay.
Is that, because we already have that date on our calendar, but I've got it at 5.
Let's
Is that
just expand.
Yes, so our work session on the full ordinance update starts at 5, and then our regular planning commission meeting and joint public hearing would start at 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Is anyone that can make a motion on this?
Yes, I move that we approve Resolution R 2025-36, Nelson County Board of Supervisors, authorization for public hearing, amendment to the Code of Nelson County, Virginia, Appendix A, zoning, Article 10, General Floodplain District, FP.
Floodplain.
Floodplain? Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Dr. Liggett?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes. Thank you, Dylan. Okay, on to reports. Candy, I think you're first.
Good afternoon, and firstly, just want to congratulate the board on moving forward with our two very important projects, social services building and high school renovation. So congratulations to you all on that. First, I'd like to discuss where we are with the Larkin Phase 1 well evaluation and Diller Creek flow evaluation. The well evaluation is task order 4. The resistivity testing is pending a 2 to 3 week lead time from scheduling the use of the equipment, with the field work estimated to take 3 to 4 days. This is tentatively scheduled for the week of May 26th, pending confirmation of the equipment availability. And staff is working with the school division on being able to access our property for this through the already logged portion of the adjacent school property. The second item, Diller Creek flow evaluation, is task order 5. There are 3 items they are working on dealing with this task order. First is the identification of USGS gauges in the project area. The research they've done identified 3 USGS gauges in the general area of the Larkin property. They evaluated the gauges to determine which one was the most appropriate for use in the estimation of flows for Diller Creek, since the creek does not have its own flow gauge. A gauge on the Tye River was identified as the most appropriate gauge to use. They are also reviewing flow data and calculations from the Tye River gauge. The data was downloaded and is being reviewed and evaluated from multiple perspectives, including overall average, monthly averages, and low flow periods. This data from this reference gauge was extrapolated to provide data for the location of a water intake on Diller Creek and using the drainage area comparison approach frequently used by Virginia regulatory agencies. Thirdly, the Endangered and Threatened Species Review entails Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, or DWR, Virginia Fish and Wildlife Information Services, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services information for planning and consultation databases. These were reviewed to determine if there is potential for any endangered and threatened species impacts that could impact the permitting and/or complicate the location of the intake in the selected water body, or the volume and rate of withdrawals. This methodology and the results will be summarized in a memo along with the other items included in their scope, including the potential permit requirements and assumptions or limitations and estimated engineering and permitting costs associated with a creek withdrawal system. Next, an update on the Piney River Phase 2 pump station. The pump station is now functioning with both motors installed. However, one of the VFDs on one of the pumps is not working correctly, and that fix is pending. If we have an emergency, this pump will run by bypassing that VFD, which is variable frequency drive, I believe. An on-site meeting is in the process of being lined up for this week with CHA, Jeff Brantley, Commonwealth Engineering, who is the supplier of the replacement pump station, Smith & Lovelace, which is the manufacturer of the replacement pump station, and also Service Authority staff. They will meet up to review the site and the new pump station specifications. County and NCSA staff also met to discuss the Piney River Phase 2 system, which was inclusive of this Phase 2 pump station replacement. We discussed those plans and plans for moving towards the Service Authority's ownership of the Phase 2 system. This included some preliminary discussion of potential future rate adjustments, which county staff is working on for presentation to the board at the June regular board meeting. The Service Authority is actually holding a public hearing May 15th at 8:30 a.m. on a proposed 15% base sewer service rate increase for all of their systems. This would bring that monthly charge from $69.70 to $80.15. and that would be effective July 1st, 2025. So, obviously, as NCSA makes periodic rate adjustments, equalizing the county's rates with those of theirs will continue to be a moving target. There are also other service differences to be worked through, which would affect our current customer base financially, and we all feel it'd be prudent to provide exceptional public engagement along this path. We also discussed establishing a working group, including county and NCSA staff and willing board members, maximum 2 per board, to devise a workable action plan to transition the system ownership. I've attached a letter from the former administrator to the Service Authority dated September 17th, 2019, and the Service Authority's response dated November 7th, 2019, which has served as a basis for the current discussions. So we would like to get the board's feedback on this work group concept and see if anyone's interested in pursuing that.
Well, it's in your district, David.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if that's the route we go, I certainly want to serve on that.
And I'd be happy to as well.
Okay, well, you are on the Service Authority board
Right.
as well.
So, better,
Well,
Why
no,
don't you
you
just
could
get
be
2
on the
board
service authority
members?
part.
oh, I see.
Right.
Gotcha.
I'll do it.
You volunteers, Trish.
Okay, so I have Mr. Barr and Dr. Liggett volunteering for the board of supervisors. Okay. I'll get that communicated to the Service Authority, and hopefully we can get some meetings set up to proceed. Also, the Service Authority wanted me to let everyone know that the CCTV is scheduled to begin in Livingston, and that has to do with the sewer project. Parker Design Group will be notifying affected residents in person or with door tags. So be looking for that to get started. All right. An update on our Wild Rose Solar Project. Savion is expecting to enter into the interconnection agreement with PJM this fall. PJM is the regional transmission organization that serves 14 states and DC, including Virginia, and they will be submitting their Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, or CPCN, with the SEC for the utility line road crossings in the next couple of months. A notice of intent to file the CPCN is required 90 days before formal submittal. Savion will also be hosting another open house in the August-September timeframe after the 90-day notice of intent period. They will also be submitting their notice of intent to seek a permit by rule or PBR from DEQ, which requires that they hold a public hearing or a public meeting, in the county, and there will be a 30-day public review and comment period after that submittal and before authorization. They wanted us to let you all know that they will be checking yes for the project being located on a brownfield, and then determining if the site qualifies based on the site's history of iron or hematite mining in the late 1800s that occurred at the north end of Route 60. Ms. Janine Johnson, who we spoke with, also stated that the total disturbed area is increasing to 650 acres, and this is including the roads and substation, with no change to the area under the panels, which remains at 550-ish acres. Staff will continue to update the board and public as public comment periods are established. I included some relevant code and DEQ links related to these various certificates in the PBR. To update you on the Region 2000 Services Authority, a public hearing on the proposed tipping fee rates of $35.44 a ton for a member rate disposal and $45.44 a ton for the market rate disposal will be held at our regular June 25th authority meeting. These rates have been at $30.25 per ton and $40.25 per ton respectively since FY18. The FY26 proposed budget is based upon these higher proposed rates and a member tonnage of 71,265 tons and a market rate tonnage of 125,038 tons for a total tonnage of 196,303. And then the total budget is, proposed budget for FY '26 is $8,207,358. So our projected tonnage for FY '26 is 10,243 tons, which translates to a cost of $363,012 based on the advertised $35.44 per ton rate. This is right at the amount we have budgeted at $363,000. The authority's proposed budget also includes funding for the first year of an employee retention / compensation study. This amount is about $468,000, which is aimed at retaining employees through the expected closure in January of 2029. And also covering a few employees remaining for several months beyond that. This option is approximately 4 times less expensive than privatizing operations if not enough employees remain in place to operate through closure. The authority will have a continued meeting on May 28th to review the employee retention compensation study for a decision as to what level will be included in the ensuing budgets. The budget also accounts for the authority's vote to transfer all monies held in reserve related to excess revenue and the financial policy to closure post-closure reserves. And this was approximately $4.8 million of the excess revenue funds in reserve and $4.2 million of financial policy funds held in reserve. The regional jail renovation and expansion project is moving forward. We had 6 construction contractors that were pre-qualified to bid on the project, with bids on that project due May 30th at 2 p.m. and they'll be opened at 2:15 p.m. ACRJ staff and their financial advisors, who is also Davenport, will be reporting to each of the member jurisdictions in June, and for Nelson, they will be here at our June 10th meeting. The plan of finance will be reviewed, and the board will be asked to take approval action on the ACRJ financing of VRA bonds and also a grant anticipation note. And that will also include respective financial support agreements to cover our portion of the debt obligation. Construction is expected to begin on September 15th, 2025. Just a little data for you from the jail board meeting in March. The county's jail utilization was 1,310 bed days, and we had an average daily population of 43. Our county website has a link to the renovation project, and I included that here as well. As the board is aware, we're continuing to have some rockfish reuse shed issues. About a week and a half ago, I advised you all that there were people verbally cussing and fighting over the shed contents, people hanging out in the shed for hours and hanging around the site to take items from people before they even get it into the shed. People leaving bags of things that contain dirty diapers, needles, and other unsavory items, which is unsafe for the public and our staff. Rockfish site is very busy, and the attendants may not have time to tend to the shed and its issues. But as first steps, we issued a warning letter to a known person that required their poor behavior to stop, or they would be banned from the reuse sheds, and issued a no trespass notice. We also stationed a reuse shed attendant at the site to specifically and only monitor the activity at the shed and attempt to educate patrons on the rules while interacting with them. This person's first shift was last Friday through Sunday. No issues were reported on Friday, but I have since gotten a report that they had 6 different visitors that screamed and cursed at this special attendant, we'll call him, over the weekend. And so this in particular was when he was advising them that they could only visit the site once per day, which is in accordance with the current rules that are established. So he's been documenting these visits and getting license plates so we can follow up on those incidences. Wintergreen Fire Marshal follow-up. I think scheduling a meeting in the next couple of months with Mr. Hux and then 2 designated board members before bringing this back to the board for reconsideration is still pending, so we haven't gotten that.
Who's taking point of that? Is Curtis working on scheduling or us?
I I'm not sure. I haven't moved it forward at all. I don't know that he's done anything either, but I'll check back with him on that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We still have some time on that. And then meals and lodging tax collection and entity tracking, included the attached charge with the number of lodging units being 824 down from 826 in the previous report. We did include a map of the plotting of the registered short-term rentals in the county. And this shows 821 total with 489 wintergreen rental units and 332 in other parts of the county. And this was as of March, April, I believe. And that is all I have for you, unless you all have any questions.
This rockfish reuse shed, we need to have a very short leash on that. And make sure law enforcement is aware when something starts, and maybe if somebody's over there in the area, do some drive-throughs and drive-bys while they're there.
Yeah.
This is uncalled for, it's childish, and, you know, we've done it before. If necessary, we can shut it down. And I hate that for the people who really use it, but the people who are causing these problems are not using it for personal use. They are reselling, and, you know, I have no patience for that.
Right. Well, my understanding is that's sort of the impetus behind why, I guess there's so many altercations over the things, because it's become some folks' livelihood in, I mean, the items are being reused, which is great, but the underlying reason for the frequent visits and the hanging around and all the other issues is that, you know, it's become an income source for some people.
And we're not there to provide livelihood or income source for those citizens. We're there to help everybody that might be able to use the items that were
Right.
left for free.
Right.
But that, neither here nor there. The altercations and the verbal abuse of staff and other citizens is uncalled for.
Certainly agree with that, yes, sir. So is there any kind of time frame that you want us to continue to monitor and report back?
So we take it month to month, just see how it is month to month.
Okay.
Well, and I say if we continue to have these issues, I would like to see a plan of action at next month's meeting. You know, I don't want this to be a 3-month drug out ordeal. I'd like for us to have an idea of how we're gonna nip it in the bud sooner rather than later.
Okay, is that, I mean, the consensus of the
I think
board
it's
that
valid.
that's the way to go?
Yep.
Okay. Very good, thank you. I'm sure our attendants will appreciate it.
Yep.
Yes.
Thanks for the map.
Well,
Yeah, it's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
Now you know where to go buy more property, right?
I can't afford anywhere where the big bubbles are.
were there any other questions?
Okay. Thank you, Candy.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, we have board reports. Jesse, you want to go first?
Circle back to me. real
Okay,
quick.
okay. Dr. Ligon?
The longest part of the planning commission meeting was me giving the board report to the planning commission. It was not very active. We did discuss further about board of supervisors not being a voting member. And other than that, we were presented with some things to read over that we would be discussing at our next meeting. So it's really not that exciting for planning commission. Is there anything you would like me to tell them?
I guess we'll see them with you.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay. Mr. Parker?
I don't remember what Emergency Services Council, I think, was canceled for April. You went in March, right? Yeah, but April, it was canceled. I can't remember, but it was canceled right before. Social Services, I do want to bring up to the board's attention, and hopefully we can schedule a follow-up, but We have had more closed session meetings in the Social Services Board in the last 6 weeks or so than we've had on my tenure on the board. And lots of legal discussions going on among the DSS board, things that I don't want to get into, since the background that leads into them is sensitive information and on the legal side of things. So what I would like to do is propose and respectfully request that we as a board schedule a closed session so I can bring you all up to date on legal matters as they pertain to that board. So, and just, to put it in perspective, we now have our own attorney representing the Social Services Board. So to put it in perspective, that's how serious things are with that board. So I think it warrants some discussion with you all, and I just, out of sensitivity, I don't think it should happen in open session. So we can talk later about scheduling something when we can get calendars. But anyway, that's all I have on board reports.
We had our PDC meeting. Did you make it to the last one?
I did.
You did? I was trying to remember. I think we went over to, what did we go over at that one?
The CDBG block grant.
Yeah, the CDBG, and we had UVA come in and all that.
Yeah.
That was kind of neat to see them show up. I do know that the housing study is underway. We might be getting some bits and pieces of it, hopefully by the end of this year, related towards housing stock, state of housing in our region. But I think overall it should be completed by springtime or sometime later part of next year. Beyond that, met with some community leaders and community members of Livingston, talking about the Livingston Merchant Association. There's a lot of energy in trying to get some more businesses in downtown Livingston and in our area here. A lot of excitement. We have had specific discussions about uses and what that looks like in the Livingston context while preserving kind of the small town feel. There's a lot of, there's some flexibility in trying to understand the residential commercial aspect for some people. They were in Livingston when there was a lot of that house at the bottom, business at the bottom and house on top. So, there's some interest in exploring some of that, talking about water and sewer. Of course, infrastructure is a critical piece in the village. We want to continue to encourage the social services, or not social, the service authority in regards to seeing if there's any other block grants that could exist, whether that's water or sewer. As we start doing this improvements downtown, we want to make sure our infrastructure can match the longevity of that. And there's a lot of excitement for 4th of July parade and fireworks. Do we have an update on where fireworks are going to be at the high school on the 4th? And the parade is the next day?
I don't know, I'd have to check on that.
I'm pretty sure that's like that. It's 4th of July fireworks are on the 4th, and then the 5th of July parade. So other than that, I don't think I have too much to report on. You, Mr. Reed?
To get back to TJPDC, the CDBG block grants, which is federal money that goes through HUD, so HUD actually is the funder of it, for building, buying, or rehabbing affordable housing. Nelson County is going to get $85,000 in 25-26. And there's a rotation that goes by as it cycles through the different counties, and in 2027, Nelson County will get twice that much. It'll be our turn to get twice as much. So that'll be $170,000 in 2027. We had a short-term rental working group meeting that Dylan spearheaded, and mostly listening to people that work within that industry and depend on it for various things, and got lots of good information from them as we go forth with our ordinance update. Friends of Nelson sponsored an energy forum at the Nelson Center, and that was well attended. I think Gary Wood's presentation from the Central Virginia Electric Co-op was best received and the most informative of all of them. It was great. for the community to organize that information for us and put it together for the community. It was a great thing, I think. The Rockfish Valley Foundation did a kickoff for their NLIT program that they have at the foundation, and this is a program where they have, I think, 20 different modules that they've created with master naturalists, DEQ, state agencies, and businesses, where each one is along a hiking route, and there are different topics in each of them. You can scan them with a QR code and pick up the data that goes along with it in real time. It's an amazing thing. All the collaborations they had to put that thing together is pretty amazing. And it was a beautiful day for that. A little on the hot side. We had another recovery court graduation in April, so that's our second or third. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember exactly.
It's third.
Yeah, and yeah, that program continues to bear fruit in many positive ways. Went to a school board meeting, and the last school board meeting, they reviewed the Title 1, 2, 3, and 4 grant applications that are all federally funded. The expectation is that they would be funded, and they're in the budget as such, but again, they're waiting to see if those are going to come to fruition or not, given the budget that they've presented to us that we'll be hearing this evening. And that's all I have, with the exception of Friday is high school graduation.
Yes.
So it's amazing that things fly by as they do.
As a follow-up, I checked the Livingston Fire Department, and yes, the parade is at 9 a.m. on July 5th, and the fireworks are the night before on July 4th at the high school.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And yesterday, Virginia Association of Counties, VACO, had their Region 3 and 5 meeting in Richmond. They presented their legislative summary, and David Blunt from TJPDC was there. Christine Jacobs was there. There were 3 different presentations because Regions 3 and 5 have 3 different planning commission districts. Christine did such an exemplary presentation for everybody else. It was pretty obvious that TJPDC is doing some really great work on our behalf, so it was great to see that. And the other thing is that VACO is documenting in real time, which means as soon as you hear something, federal impacts on localities and grants. So if we or anyone is aware of how those things come to fruition at the time that they do, if you can let VACO know, they're keeping a log of all those things on our behalf. So it's another good thing. Appointments. We have some.
Ann Vogelman, related towards the PVCC board. I don't know if you all had a chance to review that. I think she has a good potential. Now, Tom's not running again, right?
He's not.
Yeah, Tom's not running
No,
again.
he's not his term.
Yeah,
Right.
so, if you guys are open to Ms. Vogelman, I'd like to make that motion.
I met with Ann, and I think she'd be a great person to be on that. So, do you have a second?
I'll go ahead and make a motion. Motion to put Ann Vogelman on PVCC.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Let's do a roll call.
Dr. Liggins?
Yes.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
So we also got an additional application, Ed Hicks, correct?
Yes, Mr. Hicks reached out yesterday. He had previously submitted an application 3 years ago, and he let me know he was still interested in serving on Jaunt. We do have Diane McNaught,
Yeah.
who is the incumbent. She's also interested. I provided you with both copies of their applications. Ms. McNaught's is, of course, from her,
Yeah.
initial appointment. Mr. Hicks did drive for 25 years.
Yeah, I do know
So
that.
that was on his application, as additional information.
I was gonna suggest for any of these, because we don't have to vote on this till June.
No, you do not.
I was gonna suggest for the remainder that we wait until June meeting. Just, I'd like to talk to Mr. Hicks and
And I
Diane.
haven't had a chance to review that paperwork.
Yeah.
yet, so.
So, and if the PVCC one's kind of big, so she needs to get a head start.
Mhm.
So we good with that?
Yeah, I would, I serve on the JABA board with Dana Quillen, and she has never missed a meeting to my
Right.
knowledge. So I would not be opposed to getting a motion to get her reappointed, so she knows.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes. Okay. Okay. We have vacancies on the Economic Development Authority and the Board of Zoning Appeals, which we're advertising for.
Yes.
And have we not heard yet on Region 10 with Patricia Higgy?
I was gonna say, I just heard from her, yesterday afternoon, so she is interested and happy to continue serving. So up to you if you'd like to make that reappointment today, or we can wait till next month.
What's the board's pleasure in that?
I mean, if she actually wants to do it again, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Want to make a motion?
What's her name?
Patricia Hagee?
I'll make a motion to put Patricia Hagee back on Region 10.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Dr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes. And Jean Holiday, I believe she was stepping down from the library board, is that right?
I've got to reach out to her. I do not have an email contact, so I've got to reach out to her directly.
Okay.
I'm not aware of her wanting to step down, so I'm just waiting on that. We'll circle back next month.
Okay. Okay. And we also have a vacancy on the Agriculture and Forestal District Advisory Committee as a landowner, so.
Yes, and that can be anybody as a landowner to fill it.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any correspondence?
Just Skylar Water, but I sent Jennifer an email. I was sitting here, so hopefully we'll get an update. Apparently there was a letter dated on May 1st that went out.
This is a DEQ letter?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. So
Oh, yes, she did.
that's the only one I've gotten for this very moment.
Okay. No? Okay. Do we have any directives? Okay.
Other than, no
No,
directives.
okay. Okay. Then, we'd like to adjourn for a brief recess, and after that, we will return for a closed session.
I don't remember what it was. It was something.